Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to It's Rainmaking Time. This is Kim Greenhouse. It gives me great pleasure to welcome back Joseph Lumpkin. He is the publisher of Fifth Estate Publishing. He has written and rewritten The Lost Book of Enoch, The Lost Books of the Bible, Banned from the Bible, Fallen Angels and Watchers, and the Origins of Evil, The Lost and Rejected Scriptures, The Book of Jubilees, The Book of Yasher, The Apocrypha, The Prodigal Church, The Gospel of Thomas, The Universal Bible, Angels and Demons, The Enneagram, Dark Night of the Soul, Adam and Eve, The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, The Gnostic Gospels of Philip, Mary Magdalene, and Thomas. And today he is joining us to discuss The Dead Sea Jesus, a critical study of the Qumran Scrolls, the book by Fernando Klein, who couldn't be available today. There's a lot of fascination with the Dead Sea Scrolls, with Jesus, with the past, the possibility of there having been a Christendom before Jesus was born. We're going to talk about these scrolls. We're going to talk about the Essenes and a lot about this book. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Joseph Lumpkin.
Hi, Kim. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. There's so many books that you have written and discussed these different subjects that I want to have you back about. Let's talk about the Dead Sea Jesus. What are these Qumran Scrolls, and what are we supposed to know about this?
Well, it's an interesting question because the scrolls actually were, I won't say that they were kept hidden, but they were not publicly made available for many years. And it actually got to a point where we thought that there might be a bit of a conspiracy going on. So to make a long and complicated story short, somewhere around 1946, 47, there was a discovery in a cave in an area off the Dead Sea called Qumran. And it started with a shepherd boy throwing a rock into a cave and hearing the crash of ceramics or clay. And when he went in, he found that there was a jar containing a group of scrolls that his rock had accidentally hit. And it shattered, revealing these very well-preserved, some not, scrolls. And when they started excavating the caves, they found a large number of caves had a large number of scrolls, about 11 caves or so. And most of these were Old Testament books. So the authorities in that area in Israel took possession of these, and with the exception of comments like, wow, they're almost the same as the oldest we've got, and these date back to pre-Jesus time, and they're well-preserved, and they're almost identical to the books that we have that are on the Old Testament, we didn't hear a whole lot. And for about 20 years, those scholars kept among themselves these books that were what we call non-canonical or did not appear in the Bible. And just recently, over 1960s to today, they have been releasing more and more information about all of these scrolls. And scholars have been looking into it outside of that hand-picked little community that was overseeing these for so many years. So as these books and these theories and these scholars have started comparing their information and researching, we've come up with some theories that are kind of evolving. At the very beginning, we thought that there was this community called the Essene community, and that it was an influence in Judaism and possibly Christianity at the time. So it looks to us like around 199 BC, Antiochus III, or Antiochus the Great, wrested Palestine away from Ptolemy and started Hellenizing the area. In other words, he was imposing a Greek thought process and a Greek social constraint on the area. And at that particular time, there existed three sects in Judaism: the Sadducees, the Pharisees, and the Essenes. And the Essenes were a small group, and they would be what we would call ultra-conservative. And we thought that they made up this Dead Sea community, the Qumran community. It now looks like we might have a community within a community, and the evolution of this thought process has made us really kind of reevaluate Christianity for several reasons. With me so far?
Yes, absolutely. I'm on the edge of my seat. I read the book, but I'm still on the edge of my seat.
Well, it gets very, very interesting. And I suppose the first thing that I should tell you is that in my aspect, in my way of looking at religion in the world, religions seldom pop up out of nowhere. They usually are an amalgam of different processes, different religions, different philosophies, and they are usually evolving. So we have known, and we readily accept the fact that Christianity is, let's call it an evolution, or a splinter group of Judaism. What I don't know that we understood is that it might be a sect, if you will, that came from the Dead Sea community, the Qumran community, and more specifically, maybe the Essene community. But we've had to reevaluate, and here's what I mean. Let's take a broad look at Judaism at the time. When Antiochus the Great started Hellenizing Palestine in the area, it caused a knee-jerk reaction within Judaism. The Sadducees were what we would call the more liberal group. They did not believe in angels. They didn't believe in the resurrection of the dead. They only followed the laws within the Torah. And they were, I suppose, what we would call a more sedate Judaism. Then you had the Pharisees. They believed, and I might add that the Sadducees believed that we had free will only, and that there wasn't anything that was fated or predestined, that we controlled our own fate. Then you had the Sadducees, or the Pharisees, and the Pharisees actually had developed a law over and above the Torah, and when you combined all of them, you had over 600 rules to follow during your weekly and daily and yearly rituals. So it was almost impossible to follow all the Pharisaic rules. They had the rules of the Torah, and then they had the interpolations of those and how to follow them specifically. They believed that it was kind of half and half. God had certain things predestined for you couldn't get out of, but you also had your free will working within those things. They believed in angels. They believed in the resurrection of the righteous at that particular time, but not necessarily everyone. There was some controversy about, God will resurrect the righteous, and the rest of them, we just don't know about that. There may be hell for them, but hell wasn't really spoken of all that much. And then you had the Essenes. They were a small group, and over about 200 years, they probably only had about 4,000 people. And let me kind of broaden this out. You had the community at Qumran. They held everything in common, but they did allow for certain personal ownership. They were strict, but they allowed marriage. They believed in the resurrection of the dead. They believed in the immortality of the soul. They believed in punishment for the evil and reward for the righteous. And of course, when a group says that, they are telling you that they're the ones that are righteous.